everybody. Once again, I'm Liam McCrafton Jr., aka Zorval Chan Less Than Guru. Right down here, we have Mars Video Cat, and I'm going to do an update today. So, there hasn't been a lot of Torg going on, either officially or through my own game that I'm participating in. We're doing every Wednesday, but real life has happened in the last a few sessions. We did play last week, which I'll talk about something related to that. But then for the next few weeks, we will not be playing because of life situations happening. After that, we will get in and hopefully finish up the Relics of Power Redux. And then other than that, I will go ahead and talk about my Palladium game and talk about Earth Dawn, because I'm still extremely happy to be playing as a player Earth Dawn. So I'll just jump right in. First, Pathfinder. Nothing has happened since the last update, which was basically we didn't do Pathfinder, we didn't have enough people to show up. So this coming Sunday, hopefully we'll have enough people and we will get through Pathfinder. The Game Master thinks that there's 2 to 3 more sessions, and then I will be able to give my thoughts about the whole campaign that we went through. We're going 3 out of 6 books, basically, in the Strange Aeons path. So that was Pathfinder. So then I'll jump ahead to Earth Dawn. We played Earth Dawn Friday, and it was a very good experience, I think. We had done some stuff. We had gone to Haven, basically one corner of a old ancient city that had been taken over by horrors, had been forgotten and found again. And as explorers and adventurers are basically exploring the ruins, they've set up shop in one of the corners of the city, and it's kind of almost like a den of thieves and adventurers type situation. So it's not really, there's politics, local politics that happen, different factions and stuff, but it's not like a kingdom or empire has set up shop there. So it's a very interesting, very adventure-y type situation. And we, as a party, we were missing 2 people, but we still had we were missing 3 people, but we still had 5. I want to say that's a large group. We have 8 players and a game master, so we still had 5 players, and we went into it, and sometimes the walls get attacked by various nasty things coming from the city, and the wall got attacked by some cadavermen. So the game master, which is something that I've used many times, and it's highly suggested as a game master, instead of trying to have the characters take on 100 things, if there's other adventurers out there, or other guards, or people, or whatever, you have the PCs, the player characters, take on a pocket of them, and you have the other stuff going on in the background. So we took on a 5-person group. We took on 7 cadavermen. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about this with Earth Dawn, that cadavermen, and close your ears if you ever want to play Earth Dawn and haven't experienced this, we'll come back in maybe 30 seconds, but start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoiling things. Cadavermen are kind of like zombies, but when you give them a wound, they berserk out and go from 1 attack per round to 4 attacks, and it gets really nasty. So you can come back now. So that was the situation. We were up against 7 cadavermen, and we normally have 3 tanks in the party. We normally have 3 frontline melee combatants. We have a warrior, a troll warrior, and he was actually there that night, Valdhar. And then we have Alvaro, which is a windling cavalryman that is riding a Zoke, a kind of bat, bird, dragon, small thing, little windling fairy type person. Flies on that, but can do a lot of damage from charge attacks. And then we have a Beastmaster that has also a wolf companion, so it's almost kind of a 2-for-1 with that character. But the troll was the only frontline warrior that had appeared, and we also have a archer um, who can do a lot of damage as long as she is not in combat. Um, we also have 2 elementalists. So the elementalist there, our troubadour was there, our warrior troll was there, and then I was there, and I play the Windling weaponsmith. And if you've watched any of this, you know that I have played in the past a Windling weaponsmith. I really liked the concept. It wasn't quite there, so I decided to go with it again. But one thing I did change was my other Windling weaponsmith, who I believe we got to around 5th circle or so, was pretty much the defense was the Windling speed. Windlings get a bonus to basically their defense because they fly and they're fast and they're small, and that kind of is one of the things that I and a lot of people that play Windlings do. We will have, use the flying as our defense more than a big tank with armor and stuff, even as a weaponsmith who can make armor. So I would always choose like padded armor or whatever the lowest leather is. It's an armor that doesn't give a negative to initiative, because that was the other thing, was being a Windling. You with your dexterity and that, you can get a pretty good initiative. So it was always like, I want to try to hit first, hit hard, take out my opponent if I can, and if I can't, then hopefully my defenses will pull me through. That had worked with that other Windling, and I don't know if there is a slight difference between 2nd or 4th, or if I just got unlucky, probably that. But in the past, my Windling was taken out, and that type of mentality did not set. And so, as a player, Mars, so he was attacking my pencil because it looked like a toy. But my Windling and me as a player and my Windling as a character was like, this was a bad situation. So, well, how do I rectify this? And my solution was to go full plate armor, Windling, and to get that huge negative initiative, to know mentally that I will not go first. I will always go last. And that was another thing. There was a ogre that was kind of away from most of the party, and I hit a niche. I flew up there, attacked it, hit it. My companions were not able to close that distance, and when it's turn, I was the target. I'm the one that hit it. I'm the one that did damage. Of course, I'm going to be the target. It hits me, takes me out. So my thought was, as a weaponsmith, with this new Windling weaponsmith, I want to be more thoughtful, more planning and stuff. So taking last-inish might not be a bad thing. I can see where everybody has positioned themselves in the battlefield for the round, and this character also is going with a really defending others aspect. So then I can see, where do I need to go to defend the spellcasters? Where do I need to go to defend the people at the melee? The frontline people might be too engaged that they cannot help those. So we had enough frontline that I was really I need to be kind of a bulwark to stave off anything that can hurt my less protective companions. So that was my mentality. And this last game, we had a troll warrior who's an awesome troll warrior, can kick butt, and me as the front line, because the other 2 frontline people, and the archer were not available for that night. So during that whole combat, I got hit once, and I took a lot of damage, but my armor protected me, plus our elementalists were able to cast air armor, which gives you kind of a padding, and it adds a few points of armor, which was nice. And also a flaming weapon, the other one cast on my mace, So that was really cool. It lasted 8 rounds, and the actual battle lasted 8 rounds, and I was the very last person because of my initiative being a D4 -1, and I hit it, took out the last cadaverman, and then the the combat ended, and my flaming weapon was no longer flaming. But that whole battle was very tense, and we only had two, and we got in a pincer maneuver where the enemy started flanking us. Me and the warrior were kind of keeping them, from going to the back, and they were able to go around us, and we had to maneuver and do cool things like that. So the whole strategy and tactics was cool. The end result was I didn't die. I participated really well. My forged weapon, plus did forged weapon, which is kind of, it gives more damage if you're not familiar with Earth Dawn, to the troll warrior. So his weapon was forged. My weapon was forged. My weapon had the flaming aspect because, again, I go last, so that gave the elementalist time to come up to me, cast the spell on my weapon, and then I could go. So that's another thing where going last can help. And I was very happy with my choice. So there have been times in the past where I've been very disappointed in choices I've made, and some of them were me just misunderstanding something, having the incorrect information, or reading and understanding things wrong, or just having a choice, A or B, and equally valid, and I choose A, but actually B is the better choice, or whatever that situation was. But this last adventure gave me that sense of I am happy from that choice. The choice was made quite a while ago. We had went on 2 or 3 sessions with me wearing the full plate armor, and I was happy with the choice. But it wasn't until it was me and only the warrior, where we didn't have the cavalryman and we did not have the beastmaster there as well, when it was just me and an actual tank, and I'm kind of an off tank, to use an MMO term, and I felt that I did pretty well. So that was my Earth Dawn experience. Looking forward to the next game to see how that progresses. So to go to Torg, the main thing I want to talk about, and it was something I guess that was has been brought up at different places, and I guess different people at different times at different games, so it's not only Torg specific, but the concept of game masters also being players. What happens when a game master is in a game that they have game mastered? Is that unfair to the players? Personally, I don't think so. And I will say I'm biased because I'm a game master most of the time, and I have all of those books right there. I haven't read all of the adventures because some of them I do want to go into with not knowing anything, or as little as I can about them. But I've played some of those. I've game mastered some of those, and I've written parts of some of those. But I think as a game masters have that, usually have that ability that we can keep secrets, which will tie into the Palladium. We can keep secrets, and sometimes we can keep secrets for a very long time. Like when players are going to do something and some other occurrences that they are not noticing, and we just keep our mouths shut and let the players do what the players will do. And I think that us also as game masters being able to juggle multiple characters, that we can keep character knowledge from game master knowledge, and if needed, and if the game allows, like in Torg, where you can choose your statistics, choose your attributes, you can make your character not so bright, so that you in character don't have to justify why you are not coming up with an idea or ideas as a player. You can hear the other people make the ideas, you can then put your input in, which you might think is the better ideas. Maybe you have a die that you'll roll and figure out, do I want to go with one of, A or B, if you know definitely one is better than the other. But there are ways to mitigate that, and you don't have to ever say anything that will spoil anything. So I think it's perfectly fine for a game master to play in a game that they game master. If you watch the roll hit die on our Wednesday Twitch streams, which are then uploaded to YouTube, you can see all, I guess not all, not Acts 1 or Acts 2, but Acts 3, 4, 5, and 6. We just started 7. You can watch me play that. And I wrote one of the acts in that book that we went through, as well as contributing suggestions and ideas and just proofreading and things like that with the whole shebang 3 and after. I didn't do any association with Act 1 and Act 2, but after that, I wrote Act 4. I talked with the other guys doing Acts 3 and 5, and then talked about Act 6, talked about Act 7. And you can watch those, and I doubt you see me one time spoil anything or even make a joke. You might see me make a face or something, but they're usually inappropriate times, usually after the reveal happens, like when somebody says, oh, if it's Orish, at least it can't be worse than Orish, and then we actually find out that yes, it is actually worse than Orish when you take Orish world laws and Akashan world laws and you put them together, and you do get Call of Cthulhu space horror, cosmic horror, I guess you could say. That type of thing was mentioned, and I just kind of thought about it, and then when it actually kind of started to happen, that's when I was able to go, yeah, that's what happened. But previous to that, game masters, I think, at least on average, I know that there's outliers everywhere, but I really think that I don't see a problem with it. And I actually wouldn't necessarily see a problem if a player played the game, if they could keep that information to themselves and not talk about it. It's not just game masters that can buy those books right there. Players can buy those books, and they can read through them and not say anything. Is it cheating? Probably in some way, unless they just don't use any of that information. They just wanted to know. You can't necessarily keep the players out, and a lot of adventure books and stuff will have a little warning, don't read past here if you're not the game master or the DM, if you're playing, reading an official Dungeons and Dragons thing. But it will say that. That's not going to stop a determined player. The determined player who wants to read ahead and be spoiled could read it, and then it's just as a table. You hope that if somebody did that they would keep it to themselves and not bring up those things, not just come up with the solution, the best solution, because they read it out of nowhere. So that's my little take on that. If you have other thoughts, other experiences, please add those down to the comment. To go along with that, in Palladium, I am the game master, and there was a situation that was probably around session 7 or 8, where the evil clown that the party was fighting looked up and made a comment of, oh, you thought you couldn't see me, and had 2 daggers and threw the daggers, and it was up above an entranceway in part of a fort, so it was stone, and they heard no noise. The party heard no noise. Only one player character had made it past the threshold of that doorway, and that player specifically says, I do not turn around and look. If he would have turned around and looked, he would have seen that there were 2 wizards peering down at what was going on, and basically whether it was some type of open dimensional portal is not known, or it would not have been known, or if it was just this killer clown special ability to pierce reality. The daggers went through and killed the wizards. But the player specifically said, no, I do not turn around. And that was something that I wanted to have as a big effect. I wanted to, boom, one of the wizards was the group's patron. And I kind of wanted to present that mentor patron who's super powerful, but for whatever reason this time he's old, but doesn't go out and save the world himself, although I'm not going to have a save the world, but not going to save the plot of land, this fortress himself, is going to send adventurers off to do it, and then yank the rug out from under the players. Boom, that guy's gone. You don't have him anymore. You are alone in the area. And I wanted that to, have some oomph to it, and the player that could see that and could have explained that to the other players and get the reaction specifically said, I do not turn around. So I had to keep that secret. For last game was, I think, session 13. So for 6 or so sessions, I basically had to sit and not say anything. And I had players telling me all the wonderful things that when they went back and talked to their patron, what they were going to do, what they were going to say, how they were going to do things, and I just kind of listened to it at the same time thinking, wow, are your plans going to be dashed? And that was brought up, and if you watch the Palladium Nintir Veil that I will post this week, you'll see that happen when they get to the place and are confronted by what had happened so many sessions ago. So that is something. We keep those information secret, and it makes the whole experience as a game master to players. And then they had the big reveal, because they were still plotting on what they were going to say, what they were going to do when they got back there, and now they have to make a left turn because their patron's gone. So I'll go ahead and end that here. Thank you very much for watching. If you do watch these, think about subscribing, think about hitting the bell when that comes out. Again, the Palladium, this was our second Foundry when I post that, and we didn't have a combat. It was all kind of talking and figuring out things and doing stuff like that. The other slow build that has been kind of happening is with a certain card. And if you watch that, one of the players had got a card, and I think a couple of players, at least out of character, figured out what it was, but nobody mentioned it in character. So that was a little more diversion. I was wrapping up. So if you want to hit subscribe, I appreciate my subscribers. I have been hanging around 30 or so, which is fine. I'm happy if I help anybody at all. And I have had people that say that they've enjoyed at least some of my ramblings and rants and character creations and how to do things on Roll20 and the Foundry and stuff like that. So it's just a big mishmash of what I'm doing, how you might use that for your own games, reviews, how to do things online, all types of stuff like that. So once again, I'm Lima Crafton Jr., aka Zorval Chan Less Than Guru, and until next time, I'll catch you later.